Welcome to Pressure Points. Our topic is making sense out of the new iPhone 17e and the iPad Air. And what does it mean for their company's guidance for the June quarter? And separately, what does it mean for profitability and how they're navigating this pricing environment? And so I'm going to start with the conclusion before I get like messed up into these details. But the conclusion is that for the June quarter, the street's currently looking for 7% revenue growth. And my sense is that these two new products, we're going to see this temporary bump up. It probably is going to end up being more like 9%. In other words, I think that the risk that there is a negative surprise relative to the June revenue guidance, I think declined today based on these products. Now, the market overall, the Apple stock is down slightly in line with what the NASDAQ is because Bloomberg's Mark Gurman did such a good job of predicting these products and these announcements. I think the market's already kind of gotten there, but maybe hasn't really put a finer point on terms of how we get to that commentary about the June quarter. So again, currently street expectations are for 7%. My guess is it's closer to 9%. As a point of reference, the street's looking for 14% overall growth in the March quarter, and they reported 16 in the December quarter. So I'm going to, and then separately, the takeaway in terms of the pricing environment, they maintained these entry-level pricing compared to the products that they're replacing at $599, but they also doubled the capacity. And so my sense is that if Apple was getting their arm twisted in the memory side, they probably wouldn't be as generous in terms of their pricing here. They might bump up the pricing a little bit if they were going to, in fact, double this. Now, they may be taking the hit on the margin. They gave some indication on the last earnings call that they'd be open to that, but my sense is that they're doing a great job of navigating what is, of course, a very difficult memory environment. And my evidence of that is kind of the pricing within these two new products. And so those are really the key takeaways. You can hop off now. If you want to kind of go into the details of it, I'm going to give a warning is it gets pretty geeky pretty fast here. So, but the overall, we'll start with the iPhone 17e. The iPhone is half of the overall revenue. For years, I've estimated that entry-level version of the iPhone accounts for somewhere between 15 and 20% of units, and I stress units, in a given year. Now, in the quarter when these new versions come out, these E versions come out, typically it indexes a little bit more, so closer to 20% of units. And usually you get a bump of kind of a growth of like 15% year over year for a couple quarters. And so as you translate that and factor in that the ASPs on these are 27% less, effectively what you come out with is that the impact to revenue in the June quarter is probably plus 2% versus where they had been running baseline before. So plus 2%, the street is looking for 10% revenue growth in the June quarter. Plus 2 gets you to 12%. Again, half of that revenue, which means that's a 1% positive impact for overall revenue. So that's some thoughts related to the iPhone 17e. Separately related to the new iPad Air, the iPad is about 7% of overall sales. I estimate that the Air is almost half of total sales here. And so my sense is that if you get also that kind of 15% bump up, effectively what you're doing is you have 3.5% of your business is growing by 15% better, which is more or less kind of rounding here, adds about another percent to the overall revenue. And so you put those two together on the overall side, 1% from the iPhone, 1% from the iPad Air. And then you conclude with that June guidance, streets at 7%, more likely at 9%. And last, just some other commentary related to the pricing environment. My sense is this is going to be a positive, and I think that on the earnings side, I wouldn't expect any negative surprises related to the environment or negative surprises about commentary about how they think that this is playing through in the June quarter. Stay tuned. We got another couple days left of some new product drops from Apple, and I'll be back at you on Pressure Points. Until then, bye for now.